Friends, war in the north of Israel seems more than likely than ever. Not just a localized war in Gaza against terrorists hiding in tunnels and school buildings. Rather, seems like there could be a full-fledged regional war between Iran and its proxies with the West, led by Israel. This week, someone sent me a WhatsApp. It was an image, a passage from a famous Jewish book called the Yalkut Shimoni, which is a collection of rabbinic teachings from more than 1,000 years ago. And this midrash seems to describe events surprisingly similar to what we're witnessing now in 2024. Now, I was already familiar with this midrash, this prophecy, because in 1991, during the Gulf War, the Rebbe repeatedly quoted this teaching. So obviously, this drama repeats itself at each stage of the Mashiach's revelation of the era of redemption that's about to come. Here's the quote from the midrash. It says like this: in the year in which the King Mashiach will be revealed, all the kings of all the nations of the world will provoke one another. It says the king of Persia provokes the king of Arabia, and the king of Arabia goes to Aram to take counsel from them. And all the nations of the world tremble and are terrified. They are gripped with agony like the agony of a childbirth. And Israel is distressed and panicking, saying, where do we go from here? Friends, this was written 1,000 years ago, but the drama sounds familiar. Persia, modern-day Iran, and Arabia, the other Arab nations, are in conflict. Arabia turns to Aram for support. Aram translates as a superpower, which is the United States. The whole world is frightened as nations are provoking one another, and it looks like another world war is about to start. God forbid. And of course, like always, Israel bears the brunt of it. Somehow, we always end up in the center of the action, distressed and panicking. We feel tapped from all sides. Like we're trapped from here, we're trapped from there. Where even our friends tie our hands and we cry out in distress. Where do we go from here? Fear and panic are exactly what our enemies want from us. That's why they are called terrorists. These people take great pride in being able to hurt us with psychological warfare and cripple the country through their constant threats and posturing. But the good news, friends, is that this is not the end of the prophecy. Because after describing the fear gripping the nations of the world, the passage in the Yalkut Shimoni continues, and it says, and God says to them, my children, don't be afraid. All that I have done, I only did for your sake. What are you afraid of? Don't fear. Higi azman geulaschem, which means the time of your redemption have arrived. You know, friends, when I was a kid in camp, we used to have something called Topsy-Turvy Day. It was a long activity in which kids were elected to replace the staff and run the camp, while the staff pretended to be the kids. I'm sure you've seen that in life. In a way, this year, 2024, has been one Topsy-Turvy Day. It started back in the fall on October 7th, Simchat Torah, which was supposed to be the happiest day of the year on the Jewish calendar. And it was upside down. It was topsy-turvy. And it became a day of national mourning. Our day of dancing became the day with so many Jews were killed. More Jews in one day since the Holocaust. The unending confusion on display from the leading elites of society, where their moral compass went the wrong way up, to seeing our college campuses literally turned upside down, topsy-turvy, to defend the rape and murder of innocent people, sleeping in their beds. The world has gone crazy. Watching global institutions of peace and justice become so convoluted that they can find Israel guilty of war crimes and genocide, it's upside down. But however, friends, there's another prophecy, and this one from Zechariah. It describes the Messianic era, when once again the streets of Jerusalem will be filled with old men and young children playing in its streets. He says, so said the Lord of hosts. The fast of the 5th month, which is Tisha B'Av, which is going to be next week, should be transformed for the house of Judah to a day of joy and happiness and good holidays. So it's quoted from the prophets. God tells us clearly that the great upside down and scary state of the world that it is today is only done for your sake. Because our day of celebration became a day of death. But our day of national mourning, Tisha B'Av, which comes next week, is hopefully, God willing, to become a day of the greatest celebration ever. But now we're humans and it feels super scary just about now. But that's why, friends, the rabbi compared the agony of this conflict to childbirth. Something greater is about to be born. There may be pain, but hopefully it's for a good pain. And the more intense the contractions get, and the more overwhelming the pain is, the closer we are to the moment of birth. In some ways, friends, even more important than the military war of our brave soldiers that are fighting to protect the land is the spiritual battle that you and I are fighting to overcome fear, to trust and have faith in the one above. Unwavering faith that everything that happens, it's just part of a bigger divine plan. You don't see it today. And we need to be confident that goodness and truth will ultimately prevail over evil and darkness. So as the world trembles in fear of a world war, we must get ready to fight back strong, but we are not afraid. We're too busy getting ready for the greatest topsy-turvy day ever. The question is, how do you fight back? What can I do to ensure that we experience this era of true light, this era of redemption, the coming of Mashiach in our lifetime? So let me give you a little secret. This Shabbat, preceding Tisha B'Av, the day of national day of mourning for the destruction of the temple, is called in Hebrew Shabbat Chazon. And our sages say that every year on this Shabbat, God allows every soul, your soul and my soul, a glimpse, a behind the scenes, to see what the third temple, the ultimate holy temple that will be rebuilt in Jerusalem, what it looks like. It's a spiritual vision. Why this vision? There's a famous parable about a father who gives his beloved child a special gift, a beautiful suit, nicer than any Armani or Gucci. But the child takes the suit and he runs and he plays in the playground and it gets torn and it gets soiled. The dad gives a sigh, but he loves his kid so much he gives him another expensive suit. And sure enough, you know what happens? The kid runs in the playground in the sandbox and he rips it and the suit is ruined. Now, this time, the father gets another expensive suit, the third one. But this time he doesn't give it to his son. He takes it and he puts it in the closet to a place where the kid can't reach it. He keeps it there. Once in a while, he shows us the gift that it's waiting there. He shows the child the gift until the child is ready, and then he gives it to him. But there's even a deeper layer to this parable. The dad loves his child so much that he doesn't give up on him and buys him the third suit, seeing his son is a troublemaker and rips his suits. He doesn't go to a Marshall or a Ross, a cheaper store. He buys him to buy his cheap suit. He buys him the best suit. He doesn't go to the dollar store. He goes to the most expensive store to buy him the most beautiful suit the third time. But because he believes that his son will one day grow up and be mature and know how to take care of it. He loves his son so much. His son is so precious and so valuable. He says, one day my son will grow and be mature and he'll appreciate this suit. But right now, he can see it. He can't get it. If not today, tomorrow. But the suit is hanging in the closet. And by a father hanging the suit in the closet, he's much more than admonishing his kid. You know what he's doing? He's showing his kid that he trusts him. He has a lot of patience. And the love from the father to the son gets deeper. And the father is not only happy to wait, he's actually happy that the kid is watching him grow up slowly, becoming more mature. And he doesn't grow up on the command, because nobody can grow on a command. That's not real growing up. The father has patience. He waits. He doesn't give up on the child. He watches the child mature. He watches the child makes mistakes. But he knows it's going to come a day when that kid is going to get the suit. Who's the father? That's our Father in heaven, God. And we are the kids. God knows that we're not perfect human beings. We have ups, we have downs. We take a few steps forward, we take a step backwards. We flourish, and then we flop. We do great things, and the next minute we run out of gas. Friends, these setbacks cannot discourage us. The setbacks of the world can't discourage us. We're human beings, we're not robots. Let's not expect perfection from ourselves, because God doesn't expect it. Because if God wanted you to be a perfect, you know what he would do? He would say, there's enough. I created angels. I don't need human beings. They're not going to be perfect. But he didn't do that. Because he wants you and he wants I with all of our flaws and all of our dings and all of our dents. He wants us to do the best we can do. So the question isn't, are you ever going to have a meltdown? Are we ever going to have a feeling of a crash? We can't go on. The question really is, what are you going to do when you have that feeling of a meltdown? When things aren't good in life? When there's the dings and the dents? Will you sink into guilt, sink into shame and despair? Or are you going to believe in your Father's love for you? That's unconditional. Because he knows we try to do the best we can. And each of us needs to know this, that God loves us, because it's unrealistic and not idealistic to think that God wants us to be perfect. We do our part, and in return we have to have an honest, real, candid relationship with him. And that's through our mitzvahs. He wants your mitzvah. He wants to give you that suit. But he wants it to be yours because you earned it. So when you pray, you do a mitzvah, you're kind to someone else. So when you choose to do that right thing, even when it's hard, do it with genuine emotion. Do it with unique energy. Because then the suit is yours to keep. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.